today I'm going to talk to you about how we respond as staff in the current COVID situation. So essentially, I think it would be helpful to break our steps down into 4 key steps. So as a psychologist, we sometimes use acronyms to help us remember what steps we need to take. So today I'm going to talk to you about the word CALM and how we use each of those letters in the word CALM to remember how we can actually proceed in a very calm and mindful way in managing our own emotional response in the current situation. So the first letter is C, so I'm going to start with the letter C, and C stands for checking the facts. So at the moment, it's very tempting to log on to social media. Many of us are informed by what we see on the news and what we see on our phones. And even though it's very tempting to do that, a lot of misinformation can be made available, and it's really important that we check the facts and use established, clear platforms to get our information. So the second letter is A, and the letter A in this instance stands for accepting and acknowledging our emotions. So it makes perfect sense that in the current situation, which is unprecedented, that our stress levels are going to be much higher than they normally would be. We are obviously being informed by best practice around hand hygiene, social distancing, etc. But that doesn't mitigate the fact that we are going to be somewhat anxious about the unknown. However, if we are following all of the guidelines, that should help reduce the risk and help keep our emotions in check. So the third letter is L, and here we think about letting go of judgments. So what we do know is that when our emotions start to run high, if we start to think in a negative way, or we start getting judgmental about some of the information that we're hearing, or people that are providing the information, or how they're providing the information, and we think about them in a critical way, those toxic ways of thinking can actually turn up the emotional volume. So it's not uncommon for anxiety and fear, which are perfectly normal and effective human responses, to quickly turn to anger, which can be unhelpful in terms of us working together in an effective way in managing the current situation. So our goal here is to acknowledge the primary emotion of fear, check if fear is justified, and again, if we're following our guidance as given, that should help us stay safe. And the really important thing is that we work together and accept that, we're all in this situation together. So our emotions are perfectly normal, they're perfectly understandable. No two people think or feel the same way, so it's about being kind and being patient with yourself, but also with other people, and not letting our frustration or lack of understanding of what's coming next fuel our emotions and fuel our levels of frustration and anger. So the last letter is M, and M stands for being mindful of managing the current situation. So it's really important that we observe and we notice our emotions, but also how those emotions impact on the way we think and how we behave. It's also important that we really think about other people and how they're behaving and responding emotionally to the situation. So we can encourage people to step back and, rather than reacting on their emotions, to try to respond in a more effective way. There are additional things that we can do in the context of being mindful. So we need to think about keeping our usual routines as best we can. It's really important that we look after our physical health, so just our basic, day-to-day stuff. So if you are feeling under the weather, that you pay attention to that and you look after yourself. It's really important that we continue to eat a balanced diet, that we go out, that we get some exercise, and that we do maintain social interaction, albeit at a distance, but you can connect by phone and via Skype, and make sure that you are connecting with others as best you can. So even though we don't know what's coming down the line, as human beings we are quite adaptive. So we all at different points in our life have had to manage various crisis situations, and we learn through those experiences. So all of us know what works for us, what the effective thing to do to keep ourselves calm, to keep ourselves regulated. And it's really important that we remember to do all of those things that we have done in the past that worked well, and we anticipate that we will use those skills again in the future. So just to recap, it's really important that we remain calm. C stands for check the facts. A is about accepting and acknowledging all of the emotions that are coming up for us. L is about letting go of judgments that might fuel anger. And M is about being mindful in managing our emotional response in the current situation.